And I pressure washed the house. Looks pretty good. I pressure washed the whole house. Well, hi everybody, and welcome to today's video. I've been putting out a lot of content. I'm sure it's a little hard to keep up with me these days. I just have so much that I'm doing and so much I want to share. But today it's going to be a more relaxed video. It's been a while since I did one of these, and I thought I would just share with you what I'm working on. Isn't that pretty? So we got these swans last year, and it doesn't really work very well to have real flowers in them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to decorate these swans, and I'm going to work on some other things while I talk to you a little bit today. So let's go ahead and work on these swans for a minute. Let's see how this turns out. Now you do have areas here where you can cut it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Cut some of them so they're not quite so long. So we had these little apple cider containers. Now, if you missed the previous video that I did about making the beehives, I will share that with you. What I am doing is, so there's going to be a lot of videos, but if I'm working on one project, that's going to be one video. That way it's easier for me to research it. So people ask me where to find this and that. So much of this stuff is embedded in my videos, I cannot find it. So what I'm going to do is have separate videos. So we're going to be making this. Got some hot glue gun. And we got some of this twine. I'm going to go ahead and start this, and then I'll tell you some more memories. So when we would go to my grandma and grandpa Brubaker's, they were 30 miles away. Now they were really plain. There is no pictures of them whatsoever. They were plainer than my other grandma and grandpa. Now when I say plain, some people wonder, what does that mean? Well, it's just different districts of plain churches. And so they wore their coverings different. So to determine the plainness of a woman is you look by her covering. If her covering has straps, has the strings, and it's tied at the neck, that's the very plainest of the Mennonites. And that's how my grandma was, my one grandma. Then if you have the strings hanging, but they're not tied, that's not quite as plain. Then if you have no strings and it's just the covering without any strings, that's the least plainest of the Mennonites. Now my mom had some aunts that were Joe Wangers. That's another kind of Mennonite. Now they usually ride bikes, and they are not quite as plain as the Amish, but they're getting towards that. It's just so many. It's just when you grew up and lived in Lancaster County your whole life, you just learn all of this, and it's just natural for me to know everything about it, but it's very complex to people who have never heard about plain people. All right, let's go ahead and work on this. All right, now we're going to do the top part. And this is what makes it really look like a little beehive. Not beehive, it looks like a little bee skeep. So now we just got to go across here. Keep going across. So I just got one done. I have one more I got to do yet. These last forever in the house, and they last years outside. And they're just so cute. I never made a little one like this before, so this is kind of fun for me. We're getting down to it. You gave me some of these in a care package. So I think we're just going to put a little bird on them. Now, what size bird should we use? If this is going to work on them. I don't think it's going to work because I have to go with a smaller bird because it won't work. Well, there it might. I don't know if that's enough to stick or not. I think I'm going to have to go with a smaller bird. Let me see if I can find some of them. There, I like it. It's not quite as nice as having the bees on it, but use what you got. And we used what we had. So I had all of these supplies, and thank you for watching and spending a little time with me. I was thinking a lot about different things when I had the camera off, and I had so many memories of sitting in the closet. My grandma had a closet with toys. Now you gotta understand, they didn't have a lot of toys. So there was a couple dolls, a couple things like that, but they didn't have a lot of toys. Not like the kind of toys that we think of today. And also, I forgot to show you and share with you that the dress that I had in my intros for many years of my granddaughter, that was my grandma's when she was younger and a lot thinner, and that was her funeral dress. So they always had a wedding dress and a funeral dress. The funeral dress was always black, and that's what they wore when they would go to a funeral. So they always had that. Even my mom did. My mom had two dresses. She had her funeral dress and her wedding dress. So when she would go to a wedding, she would wear that dress. And a little bit of a tidbit for all of you, that on the plain people always wore dark colors, but when they were buried, they wore all white. And that's the only time that they wore all white. And my grandpa wore all white, and my grandpa, and they were all buried in very simple ceremonies. And my grandpa, I remember it was a cold winter day, and my grandpa died, and he was outside in a coffin that was pine. It was a pine coffin, like you've seen, like the olden days. It was just like that. He was wearing all white. And the church, the women sat on the one side and the men sat on the other. And the men always had their rim hats, and they would put it up on a nail. And the preacher would preach forever and ever and ever. And we would sit in these hard back benches, and our backs would get so tired. My grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, they didn't speak English. They could speak a little English, but they always spoke Pennsylvania Dutch. And they would always speak Pennsylvania Dutch, and I would sit there and I could understand a few words, and they would laugh and they'd say, "Kunst de Duits wetsen?" No, I can't speak Dutch. And my dad used to sing Dutch songs, and you know, it just was a very different world, and it's a world that I enjoy, and it's a world that I love, and I love reminiscing about the old days, and I just love that kind of life. And so when you hear me talk about things like that, it's just simply because I'm enjoying thinking about where I've come from and thinking about all of the amazing memories that I have. And most of us spent time with our grandparents, and most of us have fond memories of that. And most of us, as we get older, reflect on our younger years. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow.
You open to dry the streams, both day and night are yours. You have ordained both light and sun. You gave the earth its bounds and made